This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your source for the latest Iowa ag news headlines right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Andy Peterson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley.
Good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Wednesday, March 12th of 2025, and we are so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I talk with Bill Backhaus of BASF about the soybean technology they have that they are excited for this upcoming planting season. We'll also have a check of the closing markets today with Kenan Layden of agmarket.net. But first, here's my conversation with Bill while we were at Commodity Classic in Denver, Colorado. Of course, the planting season coming up before we know it. On the soybean side of things, what are some of the things that you guys are looking ahead to for this year?
Yeah, Riley, again, great to be here. Thanks for being here. So Zytavo soybeans is really what we're focused on with BASF, and really 2025 marks the year that we're launching our proprietary genetics that we've been BASF developed genetics that we've bred basically for over a decade, and really launching them this year. So farmers really the first time that they can plant them, on their farms is this year. So we've been selling them, through the entire fall and spring season here, getting ready for planting. So a lot of people excited about that. We had some good results coming out of the trials last year that did really well. Of course, new varieties, you learn some that work really well, some that don't, so you start learning where to put them, and really excited to get those varieties launched out there. So just very unique, very different looking, excited to get that genetic, the diverse germplasm that we have out there in the industry, basically for farmers to try.
Yeah, we've talked quite a bit on the Zytavo side of things, just the things included in that lineup. When it comes to this year, what are some of the new innovations specifically in Zytavo that might really help to tackle some of the issues? I mean, we're looking at enhanced insect pressure, enhanced weed pressure, a lot of things to handle for one seed variety.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So really Zytavo being an Enlist E3, they use that technology. And again, we're tying that into, from BASF, our new Liberty Ultra will be the new Liberty that we'll be able to use on those as well, just like everybody else, but excited to have that out there. We look at a lot of different things in the future pipeline. So, in the future, we're looking at in pending regulatory approval 2028, be Nemisphere, basically is the first BT soybean that'll be in the market. We have licensed that, to our partners, other industry partners like Corteva and MS Tech. But with Zytavo, we're breeding right now. I will actually have trials out in Iowa that I can touch and feel this year for the first time. So I'm excited about that, to get those out there, really to understand what that whole new trait brings to the table. So again, it's Enlist E3 with Zytavo, and then bring that Nemisphere trait in, actually brings an HPPD marker gene in. So we'll actually have 4 different herbicides tolerances in it. So we'll start figuring all that stuff out, but pending regulatory approval for 2028, we'll be looking at that, getting that through. So again, a BT protein, very specific to the white tissue below ground, and again, it protects against soybean cyst nematode, the number one yield robbing pest that we have out there.
And this could be a pretty big year for soybean cyst nematode again. Very mild winter, even though, especially in Iowa, we had those couple weeks of pretty cold weather. But as a whole, it's been a very mild winter, very dry winter as well. Yeah. And that can be conducive to those soybean cyst nematodes to really have a big year. Looking ahead to tackle that on top of the seed traits, you mentioned having that application window as well to target those. A lot of different strategies to go after this.
Yeah. So you think about the strategies. So from a variety selection standpoint, select your varieties with P88788 or Peking. Again, those are the 2 native sources that we have really that work the best for the industry right now. One thing we make sure we tell everybody is we've been using P88788 for a long time right now, so it's actually getting a little less effective, just like what, every time we have a knife and we use it too much, it gets a little dull, and that's kind of what's going on really with P88788. So we want to rotate in Peking. The issue we have with Peking, we don't want to overuse it, right? And what we're learning on that, it's not quite as durable as P88788. So if we overuse it, that knife's going to become dull very, very fast. So we've got to make sure we get that in rotation. So we want to do P88788 rotate to corn, go back to peaking, or go to peaking, rotate back to corn, go back to a P 8788, and get that in a rotation. So we use those different modes of action. A levo would be the other one from a seed treatment standpoint that we like to use from a BASF product. We also, which is the best one against SDS and the best one against soybean cyst nematode. We do have another one, Pancho Votivo, which basically is more of a biological that kind of grows with the root that can provide that barrier protection on there. So we do see some people using both seed treatments as they go forward to protect against that. So yeah, then just really understand what you have in your rotation, understand that you take care of your soils, moves with soil. So, we've had a lot of wind and it's going to be very windy here shortly in the next several days. We're going to have a lot of soil moving around, that sort of thing. As we get some of those areas that weren't quite protected from the lack of snow and how dry we are. So we're going to be a lot of soil moving around, that's how that soybean cyst nematode really gets to moving.
I think it's a good point that you're leading into there of the seed traits. Great thing to rely on for those management practices. Obviously, herbicide, fungicide, pesticide application as well. Stewardship, also incredibly important to making sure that we can still use the tools that we have.
Absolutely. That's a big piece of the puzzle. Just taking care of business, right? So don't overuse something. Make sure we understand what we have in the toolbox and really just take the time to understand all those things around that.
All right, Bill, lots of great information today. For anyone who would like to get in touch and learn more, how can they do that?
Yeah, you can reach out to basically contact your local BASF rep, hop on Xitavo, soybeanseed.com, Xitavo, soybeanseed.com, or BASF.com, and or your local BASF retailer.
That again was Bill Backhaus of BASF. We'll take a look at the closing markets next, but first, here's a word from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and we're taking a look at the closing markets now with Kenan Layden of agmarket.net. First off, Kenan, what have we seen going on in the grain markets today?
Yeah, we saw a really strong reaction in the grain markets today, probably to tariffs that were being implemented. The European Union released retaliatory tariffs, which include, or duties as they call them, which include grains and oil seeds in response to a steel and aluminum tariff put on by the Trump administration. So market reacted really negatively to that. Just a reminder to your listeners that sometimes those unknowns aren't China and they are the European Union. And this year, some of those are thought to be European Union. So could see some cancelizations out of there if that continues to occur. Stats Canada also came out with, their acreage report or acreage estimate, and spring wheat and canola acres were up, which could have led to some further down pressure on corn, more spring wheat or wheat in general, I should say, not necessarily spring wheat and canola in Canada. So just pressure on the markets. Kansas City, we did claw back at the end of the day and closed up slightly. So we're still kind of dry in that western part of the plains.
And then yesterday's WASDE report, extremely uneventful even for a March WASDE, which usually we don't see too much. Markets are already looking ahead to the quarterly grain stocks and the planting intentions report. Now, what do we see the markets looking forward to there? I mean, they're already trying to factor that in, right?
Yeah, you would think so. The USDA Outlook came up with that 94 million acre number in corn, which was large, but they don't usually go larger. March stocks, the March planting intentions report isn't final, right? The June one is the huge one, and you hear people talk about how they don't like the March report, even the people who release it, just because people don't know what they're planting yet. They haven't gotten in yet. So it'll be interesting to see what that shows, if they stay more with an outlook number, if they're really going to crank up those corn acres, if they think there's going to be corn acres. But the market will factor that in. And right now we're probably trading, what the USDA Outlook estimated or a little higher.
And then looking at the livestock side of things, how did cattle and hogs trade today?
Yeah, awesome. The opposite end of the spectrum. So, right, grains don't want to look at the board. Livestock just probably had it on your screen all day, just staring at it. So it was a, big day in those cattle again, making all-time highs in those feeder cattle contracts. So that's awesome to see. Cash has been really strong. Just the reports we're getting from sale barns around our area and some other areas where egg market brokers work. Cash isn't weakening, and the board is just going to keep going up with cash. It's interesting that managed money is still long those contracts, and cash is pushing them up. And money is rotating out of stocks and some of those more risky equities here with some of the sell-offs and tariff uncertainty. Maybe some of it's going into cattle, maybe some of it's going into gold, and other precious metals, which were two things that were up quite a bit today.
All right, Kenan, lots of great information today. For anyone who would like to get in touch with agmarket.net for more marketing information, how can they do that?
Yeah, just check us out online at agmarket.net. Search for a broker in your area. Check out some of our information we have to put out there.
Great talking with you as always, Kenan, and we look forward to talking again soon.
Thanks, Riley.
That again was Kenan Layden of agmarket.net. We'll take a look at how the numbers closed through the market window at iowaagnet.com. May corn down 9.5 at 4.60 3/4. May soybeans down 10 3/4 at $10.50. May soybean meal down 1.60 at 320 cents. May soybean oil down 25 cents at 41.68. Chicago wheat down 2 3/4 at 5.54 even. Kansas City hard red wheat up 1 even at 5.73 even. Minneapolis spring wheat down 2 3/4 at 5.94 1/2. May oats down 1 1/4 at 3.68 1/4. On the Merc, April live cattle up $1.85 at 201.40. March feeders up $2.75 at 280.25. April lean hogs down a nickel at 86.50. Pork cutout went unchanged at 96.80. And March class 3 milk up 9 cents at 18.58. That's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. That also brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on social media at Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and find our video content as well as previous episodes of AM/PM on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Check out as well our free morning, midday, and closing market podcasts, as well as the Iowa Ag Matters podcast and Pods of Potential. You can find those on your favorite podcasting service at Apple, Amazon, Spotify, and Podbean, or once again on our website at iowaagnet.com, this time under the podcast tab. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Mark Magnuson, Andy Peterson, and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.